All right, that's going to do it for Stump Daniel, and another episode coming up. I don't know what I'm talking
Segment.
about. I'm just saying words.
You're
Segment.
flustered, man.
There we go.
I'm flustered. I'm all up inside your head.
Let's get into our local sports athlete of the week. Ugh.
I gotta compose myself.
I'm just going to let you talk for a bit.
I'm so proud of myself right now.
All right, I got to say, our athlete of the week this week has just been tearing it up so far.
Absolutely, and honestly, this might be a little off the radar for some of our Grays Harbor listeners, but our Ole Penn Real Estate athlete of the week this week is a Raymond girls basketball player, and you'll have to forgive me if I pronounce this incorrectly.
Is it Raymond? For some reason, I thought it was Willapa Valley.
No, it's
Okay.
Raymond.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I already messed that up. Sorry, Pat County.
I believe it's Kyra Gardner. It could be Kyra. It's Kyra. I'm so sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly. The stats are like almost mind-boggling to look at what she accomplished this week. On Tuesday, Raymond played against Elma, and Elma is a cross-class game, so Raymond is 2B and Elma is 1A, and also the Elma girls basketball program has generally been really good.
And they went to state last year and played
Exactly.
well. They have almost all of their players back from that team, so that's a really good Elma team.
Which makes this performance even more impressive. Gardner scored 30 points, including a three-pointer with 1:13 left that gave Raymond their final lead.
Dang.
And then she also, the final lead was 49-47 in the win. That three-pointer was made it 48-47. So then she also hit one free throw down the stretch to help solidify it. In addition to the 30 points and the game winner that she hit, she also had 12 steals.
What?
And 9 rebounds in that game.
Oh, she missed the triple-double.
Yeah, she missed
By
the
a
trip dub.
rebound. She had the steals.
She missed the trip dub.
That's
Trip
crazy.
dub's such a fake stat. I hate it so much. But anyway, so Gardner, including...
Wait.
Yeah.
Why do you hate the triple-double?
It's a fake stat. Because, I know you were joking when you said that about she only got 9 rebounds.
Yeah.
That's what people do.
Yeah.
When people look at an NBA stat line and you had 42 points and 9 rebounds and 10 assists, they go, "Oh man, one more board, you had a tripped up."
Yeah, you should have been crashing the boards,
It's
LeBron.
a fake stat. It's so stupid. It got Russell Westbrook an MVP that he did not deserve.
That's true. I'll go. It shouldn't be a stat that you look at to get MVPs, because especially Westbrook, who would totally pad stats at the end of games. But it is an accomplishment, and it's one that we don't see very often in high school basketball. That's for sure.
I would
It
say
is very rare in high school basketball.
Yeah. There was a player from Quinault a few years ago that had, what do you call it if it's 5?
A quintuple double.
A girl from Quinault, and I'm.
There was a girl from Tohola who had the quad double.
She also she played for Grays Harbor College as well. I'm a jerk for forgetting her name.
Yeah,
But she had 5 different stats that she had 10 of.
that's nuts.
It was points, rebounds, assists, steals, and
blocks.
I think
blocks.
that'd be a
I think that would be-
penta-double, wouldn't it?
Pentadouble.
Is it 5 quintuple double?
No, Quint is
Is Quint
6.
No. Okay, here,
We're
I'm
down
going to
a
tell you.
bad-
No, you're wrong, and I'm going to tell you why.
8.
I'm going to tell you how I know you're wrong.
Oct is 8.
When I was a kid, there was a Disney Channel made-for-TV movie called Quints about a girl who had... No, she was a teenage girl, and
Yeah.
then her mom had 5 babies.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to say it's a quintuple double. Anyway, I've gotten a little off track from talking
Yeah,
about
sorry about that,
from
Kyra.
talking about Kyra Gardner. So I mentioned the Elmer performance from Tuesday. She also went on a couple days later on Thursday to get 30 points, 9 steals, and 11 rebounds in a win over Willapa Valley. They crushed Willapa Valley 60-25. So Kyra Gardner, congratulations for your performance, and you have earned the Scrimmage's Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week. If you're looking to buy a home in the Grays Harbor, Pacific County area, no one will take care of you better than the team of realtors at Ole Penn Real Estate. With Ole Penn, it's personal.
Well, and we thank you for sponsoring us again, Ole Penn and Jason, and this time we had to give the award to somebody else. We
Yeah.
couldn't give it to you again.
We'll figure out a way to give it to Jason again. or
Yeah,
something.
I'm sure. That's our local athlete of the week, and again, we're going to be trying to find a local athlete, whatever sport it is, that really stood out, and appreciate our local sports here. As we'll get to later in the show, we've had some excellent local athletes that we've had the privilege of covering on this show, as well as in our other jobs. But before that, we're going to talk with the head coach of the Montesano boys basketball team and get a little season preview.
Yeah, and so if you are watching us on a video on YouTube, you won't hear this, but you can go to our website, thescrimmage.net, and you can find our podcast. The interview with Doug Galloway will be on the podcast. So now to follow up on the interview, which you might want to go listen to the interview. I want to take just a really, really short time to talk about Coach Galloway. He is a phenomenal person and a great coach. I really, really like him. I'm a Montesano guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you tell you're a Monty guy?
Yeah, well,
No,
you can't right now if you're watching the video
look
because
like an
I'm
Elma guy.
I'm wearing Elma gear. Do I get to explain it now?
Yeah, I guess
Okay,
it'd be
so-
good as time as ever.
So we had a competition last week between
Loser.
myself and Daniel and producer Andrew about who could predict the game, the Seahawks score against Minnesota.
The Vikings.
Yeah. See, this is why I lost. 'Cause- But I would like to point out that even though my final score prediction of 19 to 12 didn't win the competition, I did nail the margin of victory at 7 points.
You absolutely did.
Yeah,
That is
so-
where Andrew and I failed because for
you
some
guys
reason
failed.
we called blowouts, which the Seahawks never do.
Yeah.
So that was our.
So I got that part right. I
But-
didn't get.
Your score was so far off.
It was a little off.
Okay.
So anyway, I deserve this.
Yes, you did.
I'm wearing an Elma hat and shirt that I borrowed from a friend of mine, and it is my punishment, and I deserve it.
Yes. All right. Now you can get back to
Okay.
why we like head coach Doug Galloway so much. And before you get going, because I don't know him as well as you do, but he's always been a pleasure for me to interview before games. And anytime you see a coach come from outside the area to one of our local programs, I think a lot of locals are a little skeptical about them. You don't see it too often. Usually the coaches have more local ties. And so I think there are some people who are like, all right, who's this guy coming in? And he has done an amazing job with that program in Montesano. I mean, this might tick off some kids that I played against and some older guys playing for that Monty program, but that was always a bunch of football players with maybe like one basketball player on it, and everybody else would kind of play football on the court and then count on the other player to make 32 points a game, and it never worked very well.
Yeah.
Now they're a good basketball team and a good program, and it's really, in my mind, due to how he's built that program.
Yeah, and I would say, as far as my relationship with Coach Galloway, I only know him casually. It's not like we're hanging out drinking brews on the weekends. But I have had many conversations with him, and I really appreciate he's extremely friendly and personable. He's really candid with me. I feel like he is really, really good with the kids. He also is a PE teacher in our elementary school system in Monty, and I know that my younger son, when he was in, he doesn't have him in PE anymore, but when he was his PE teacher, he loved him, and he loved how fun he made the PE classes. But to your point about how Coach Galloway really turned around the Montesano basketball program, I don't want to degrade any of the work that anybody did before that, because I know we had coaches that worked really hard.
Yeah.
I feel like when Coach Galloway came in, we got a basketball guy who turned our program that had a bunch of athletes who would go out there and scrap and play hard and win some games into a program of basketball players.
Yeah.
And I think it's true, and we saw this, with Aberdeen. I always use the example of Leonard Barnes. By Coach Barnes' third season, all the kids who had come through his program were really good. They were ball players. They were hoopers. They weren't just athletes, and they were really successful. And I think we've seen that over the last several years with Coach Galloway, that the kids that are coming through this program, they know how to play basketball. They know what they're doing when they're out on the floor. The other thing is, he basically created a feeder system for younger kids, because we didn't have much in Monty before, except kind of a few random club teams, like AAU style teams. It wasn't extremely accessible, but when he came in, he wanted to figure out a way to have kids play, and so he's like, hey, I've got some parents who are interested in coaching, who would put some teams together and go play in some leagues around here. Raymond had a league, but they would only let the B schools come in. I think that might have changed since then, but they were only letting B schools come in and play at that time, and there really wasn't any place for Monty teams to go play against someone else. So Doug just said, you know what, I'm going to start my own thing here. And he started this program where we have now a youth basketball league in Montesano where kids, Mac, my younger son's team, played against a team from Raymond or Willapa Valley the other day. We have teams from Aberdeen, Hoquiam, Elma, all the surrounding areas coming to play in Montesano. And what that's created in my feeling is a lot more parents and kids who are getting involved in basketball because it's so much more accessible to them. So not only has he helped our high school basketball players coming through the program to be better, but he's also created lots of situations for younger kids to play basketball as well, which has been great for me and my family because I have kids that want to play.
Yeah, and it's a huge thing for kids to be able to have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting that the downswing in youth sports we saw there for a while, because when I was growing up, Hoquiam had 3 elementary schools, and each of those elementary schools had 5th and 6th grade basketball teams. So even if you weren't one of the kids who was lucky enough to go play on an AAU team or whatever, you still got the opportunity to see if basketball was a sport that you really enjoyed and that you really loved, and you could go play, and it was all inclusive and everybody had that opportunity. Since the level of attendance has been dropping in our area, Hoquiam is down to, they still have some of the different elementary school buildings, but they're all split up by grades. And so there isn't there's all these different schools that they can play against each other. So a league like that is very important. And I think that not only the work that Doug Galloway is doing, but then you look on the girls' side of things with some of the cool things that head coach Chad Allen of the Hoquiam Grizzlies and coach Rachel Wentz of the Aberdeen Bobcats are doing with their hoop girls camps.
I've been seeing tweets about that. It looks pretty cool.
It is awesome, and they are getting tons and tons of kids out. I was talking to Coach Wentz before the Aberdeen girls game the other night, and I think she said that they had 40 registered, and then an extra 60 showed up as well. And so, that is just amazing and so cool to see, because youth basketball is, it was such a big part of my life, and so I'm glad that kids are having an opportunity again with some of these different things going on, not only to become better basketball players so the high school programs are better. That's a cool byproduct of it.
Right.
But the chance for kids who may not have an opportunity otherwise to play a sport, to get that team dynamic, to make friends, to find something they're good at, it's huge. It really is.
And I think ultimately what every parent wants is to give, well, not every parent, every good parent wants is to give their kids opportunities to find out what they're into and succeed in it.
Exactly.
So, I have a younger, I like all the 3 major sports, and my older son is kind of shifting away from baseball. But
There's
all
a bunch of soccer fans who are upset with you right now.
That's a joke. That's a joke. I'm sorry. But I would say even for kids in Montesano, and I'm assuming in our other areas too, football has always been very accessible. Baseball has always been very accessible. Yes. Ever since I've had kids, that was the truth. But now that basketball is more accessible, it's given my younger son, who's 10 now, an opportunity to really figure out what he's into. Because this fall, for the first time, since he was 6, he decided not to play football. And I thought he was going to miss it and regret it, and he really didn't. He likes playing catch and stuff, but he doesn't like the grind of football. And so he wanted to do something a little different, and he is just all in on basketball now in a way that, if he used to play, Fortnite and Minecraft, if he's playing video games right now, it's either NBA Mobile on a tablet or a phone, or it's NBA 2K. That's all he does if he's playing video games. I'll catch him randomly. I'll come home, and he's got his tablet up with ESPN watching whatever random college basketball game is on. And the other day I came home, and he was watching Kansas State versus somebody. He just wants to consume everything because he's learned to love basketball. And I might be overstating a little bit, but to me, that is owed a lot to what people like Coach Galloway and what Chad Allen are doing in helping these kids find what they love. Give them all the opportunities, and if it's a sport or if it's something else, give them all the opportunities to find out what they're into so that they can succeed in it.
Absolutely, and it's cool to see that this area is so good with community building things, I feel like. And so when people jump in...
It's one of the best parts about this community.
It is. It absolutely is. And We've talked to Coach Galloway, we've talked to Curtis Eccles and Mark Buckman, also two excellent coaches who we know pretty well. I played for Eccles in his first season as a Hoquiam coach. We know Mark Buckman well. I've played sports with and against Mark growing up, and two excellent coaches there as well. And now Elma, their program's starting to pick up and come on as well, and head coach Jeff Nini out there for the Elma boys basketball team. We're hoping that we can find a time where we can have an interview with him as well. He is super busy, though. I mean, he's coaching youth basketball, high school basketball. I mean, he is involved in everything. And that's another guy who I don't know him as well, except for the fact that I was a freshman when he was on the undefeated state champion Hoquiam Grizzlies basketball team. So I would go to open gyms and just get demolished by that senior class. So that's most of my relationship with Jeff, is him just like torching me as a freshman.
Yeah.
But excellent basketball mind. I think we all thought that he was going to be a coach as well. So we have some fun things in local basketball going on. And as we mentioned, the girls programs, they're pretty stacked as well. So we have some fun things to talk about this